recreate is that there's the 4 seasons. And so we get to see it in all its glory of the way it changes and just the reflection of what that means to every season and how we respond to it. So I think we're pretty lucky to have that. So with that, before we do, I'm just going to remind everybody when you speak, because people actually watch, which I think is fun. So no, it's okay, because you're here with talent, ideas, vision, passion, and creativity. So I think that that's worth sharing. When you do speak, just press the button and make sure your little blue light's on. And then it records it and everything. Speak in or speak loud, whatever it works. Yeah, because you've got good ideas, and then when the audience can't hear it or when people want to go back and listen to it, they miss what you have to say. So we want to give everybody an opportunity to just have a window into your thoughts and ideas. So with that, we'll move on. Adoption of the agenda, recommendations that the agenda for the November 5th, 2025 be approved as presented. So here's what I get somebody to say: moved. So moved. And seconded. Second. Any discussion, errors, omissions, anything? Great. All those in favor? Super. Then we have the adoption. Oh, God, you guys, I'm so sorry. I've clearly had too much cold medicine. Oh my gosh, I so blew that last one. All right, so now we're going to go to the adoption of the minutes, which is what I was talking about a minute ago. But minutes of October 9th, 2025 Public Art Advisory Committee. So recommendations that the minutes of October 9th Public Art Advisory Committee be adopted. Mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Beth, seconded by Liz. Is this where we saw any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you. So the unfinished business is the discussion on the concepts to recommend to council. So before you, we had such a good conversation, and we had some really great ideas, and we kind of were able to narrow it down to 5. And then, so I think that the purpose of tonight's is to say, okay, so we've got 5. What might that look like? What might we actually do? How do you make an idea become a reality? How would you like this presented to council? And maybe before we begin, because we do have Byron here with us, did you have any comments or any thoughts or anything that you wanted to share about what you would like to see as next steps and what would be effective for this committee?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, not really. I do think that this is an opportune time to be able to present this to council. We're just starting our budget process, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with municipal budgeting, but we seem to work on it all fall, and then it comes into play for next year. So it's a good time to put a specific project and then figure out what the budget should be for that project and put it in front of council and say this is the recommendation of the arts committee. And I don't have any sense of how council will take that. And I know there's every year we have budget constraints, but council has made this a priority, and we've said we wanted to look at these projects, right? So I don't specifically with regards to the specific projects, I don't know enough about them to make any recommendation at all.
Great. So maybe what we'll do is we'll loop back to that. For me, I'm going to be really curious. If we have an idea, then what would the steps look like? Like, how do you take an idea and you make it a reality? Oh, is your blue thing on?
There it is. Okay. Just as we go into that discussion, because, and I sent this email. Oh, is this closer with you? As we go forward in this discussion, just to kind of frame it, because, I talked about the theme, and I know we're starting small. We talked about this last week, getting it into the budget so we can start putting ideas in that are tangible, that the council could conceivably approve in 2026. But there is an opportunity to start now to think about how we're going to frame it. And I went to the official community plan meeting last week, and so impressed by the vision for where things can be in town, and thinking about that and thinking, wow, if we're doing public art, we're using art to build that that vision, you know, in a cohesive way, because that's what art can do. And so I just wanted to put that out there, that rather than just saying, oh, well, this year we can afford vinyl over utility boxes, and next year we can afford, you know, like be thinking cohesively.
Cohesively, which is a lovely thought. I think from the last meeting there was so much invigoration about how we can liven up spaces. So on these, what as you sort of had, you know, a little around a month to think about it, what did you think about? What did you say? You know what, that would be one I'd really want to pursue. Lindsay, yeah, you do. Yeah, no, because I know that you've got a great idea. Is your blue dot on? Okay.
Yeah.
Beth?
I think, well, I'm having a couple thoughts, I guess, and it's tough to choose which one to start off with when I keep going back to the question, like, what is, like, theme wise, like, what is Clearwater, who is Clearwater, and then looking at, like, people in this room, like, it is, we all have a part of Clearwater, but are we big enough voice to say who Clearwater is? And I keep asking myself that question, and then I'm like, do we, I don't know, does council or like the district or whoever, I don't know how that process works, but like puts out a call to the town and ask like who is Clearwater, and like see what kind of feedback we get from town, because I'm thinking like, I don't know, like we have lots of people that work like in like the logging industry, and we have like all these kind of pieces, so it'd be really cool theme wise to I think in my head I'm like, I would like the theme to be who is Clearwater in my head, but I don't have an answer of who Clearwater is, and I don't even know if the community knows who Clearwater is yet, because especially like, you know, corporation wise, like we're such a new town, we're like feeling it out, we're getting, I don't know, but then of course there's been families here for generations and generations, so they know who Clearwater is for them, so I don't have an answer.
That's okay. What you've
But
done is you've brought up some really good ideas, and I think that it runs into and why I wanted to share that toolkit with you from the Victoria one, because it talked about that community engagement. Like it talked about how you get the voice of community. So I think
Yeah.
you're really highlighting something that's important. So that was one. So what was your second?
My thing, I think I'm leaning towards, I would love to see the murals. I think that's like the first kind of thought of like bringing Clearwater together. I love the skate park one, bringing like the youth in there, especially since it's such a youthful place. But then again, we might need to hear more youth voices, because like, I don't know, it'd be cool to get to know what the high schoolers and like the younger kids are feeling, connects with them these days.
Okay. Hannah, anything that here that struck you?
Oh, I love the idea of murals because I think it's doable and it's engaging with the local community. And I've got, I think both the skateboard park, that's a very specific one, but also I love the idea of the beach house because lots of people go down there. It's very visible, and I appreciate your whole thing about what is Clearwater. Have we done that exercise in the past? Has the council done a what is?
Well, but that again is why I'm really pleased that we've got, you know, the team here, and especially Byron, is that, you know, so if we land on something and bring it to council, would you like the committee to also have some ideas about context with it in the vein that you're hearing it now?
It is a really interesting concept of trying to, before you pick projects, trying to dig into the what's behind the project. What are we trying to show here? And maybe it's who is Clearwater, or what is Clearwater, but I think it's one of the key things is what is the theme? Because those look like good projects, but is it just a random project, or is it part of a theme? Is it a splash of color, or is it something that expands beyond that, right? So that it's become not only reflects Clearwater, but in some ways helps to develop the concept of Clearwater.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I don't know as far as process of how you determine what is Clearwater or who is Clearwater. I don't know what that process looks like. We've done that somewhat with our OCP, the official community plan, but that focuses on land use, right? And that's a very different topic. So, but to try to capture the history and the diversity of Clearwater, I'm don't quite know how you'd accomplish that, to be frank.
So just for some background is that, so the flowers and bee sculptures, that tied into some of your experience, like sort of that metal work and being able to highlight our paths. And so tying it into the fact that Clearwater is a bee friendly city or community. So we had kind of looked at that, not necessarily as a theme, but a way to support something that we're already designated as. And just to, add pops of color and whimsy to the community experience. The skate park mural we've talked about, and that just seemed an opportunity when you're coming into the community. It is a big space that it has an opportunity to have a welcome. It's been commented that the current mural that's here, sometimes the connotations on it maybe have got a bit of a shadow of an intent. It maybe wasn't meant as that, but it maybe is perceived as that. So it's got it's probably time to revisit that. Then the mobile interactable art space, which is something that was talked about also at the OCP. So if there was an invigoration of a downtown core, how could you have kiosks that supported, pop-up art? Like maybe it's the Children's Art Festival or something like that. Again, working on opportunities and experiences that have already been in Clearwater. Beach House, just because there's so much there. Also, we heard the good news that as part of the budget, there was going to be the painting of the inside of the beach house itself. We had a CAO who said, "Oh my gosh, this is dreary." Is that capture some of your thoughts?
I think the words were, "It looks third world."
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to take words out of your mouth, but yeah, I heard that. And then the last one was just looking at some of the vinyl wrapping around some of like the new generators, etc. There's the one down by where we have our Remembrance Day service, and the Legion, they had reflected on that would be a wonderful place to have something that talked about, gave their history. So those are some of the art projects there. So I'm, with the exception of the murals, I think we're seeing opportunities here that could be just spontaneous. Not spontaneous, maybe isn't a good word. That would frighten most people. Yeah, but just a way that kind of enhances things that are already there, including who we are as a bee-friendly city, or how to take industrial looking and beautify them. Anyway, so you've watched the meeting, so it's almost like you were here. So what are your thoughts?
The regional small park, I think, is a big one to do the wrap of the generator. It is so ugly there.
Yes.
It's quite sad that that's like a memorial park and it just looks so uninviting. So that would be a priority for sure. One thing that before I even came to the meeting, is because we're so spread out as a town, is to try and find a way to have like an echo of the same kind of artwork, but in different styles, or signposts, or just something that you have one in the like flats and one in like a little small sculpture or something like that that just different artists have a hand in doing, or maybe the schools or something like that. But something where there's like a unified theme,
Almost like an artist corner.
in 5 different locations or something like that, because we have about 5 different downtowns.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find sculpture locations in this town. It's really hard. Like the little boulevard by the liquor store and Fields is a decent area, I think. But there's not many. Like the bylaw would be complicated because it's corporate, right? And so then who pays for the art and who maintains it and all of that. I think it's a really great spot. It is kind of our downtown, but it's corporate. So it is tricky. So maybe, maybe more like signposts, something in the pavement or something like that, where it's not necessarily a sculpture. I would like to see something in all our little downtowns that. But yeah, the murals would be nice to be open to artists to compose, and I think the sculptures would be nice to have it open broader to BC artists. I don't know if you talked about that, and I haven't turned my mic on this whole time.
Oh, that's on me. That's on me. Oh. So in summary is sculpture in downtown or in the various parts of the community.
Something that unifies our
that unifies the community. You can turn that on now.
Leave it.
Something that unifies us. You've also identified the fact that the boulevard up by Bilo would be really interesting. When you said it, I'm thinking, oh, Sculpture Boulevard, how fun. And then you also like the idea of the community and murals, and for the sculptures, widening it to BC artists, and then a mural bringing in like local artists. Did I capture that?
Yeah. And
You said it better, by
I
the
like
way.
your idea of that. Yes, we love the bee theme, and I think it's like it's a trendy look as well. And if we're trying to get tourists to take pictures and post them, I think that's a really valuable thing. And yeah, I think the bee sculpture idea would be good, but yeah, who are we to say, right? So to get a little bit more input on that. But I can see the bee thing. I was picturing like people holding the flower that the bees coming in, and then they get that photo op. I like that idea of yours. Yeah.
Might have been Liz's.
No, you were saying that just to like have tourists
Oh,
have photo
okay,
op,
okay,
like have
yeah.
that was
'Cause I
really
was like,
important.
yeah, I was like, I
to-
think Liz
to,
did the bee, so I
to,
wanna
that
make
we have
sure.
all these people coming from all over the world and
Totally.
to like cash in on that.
Yeah.
That they can be
Yeah.
our advertisement and have
And
a
it's
bit of
such a
social media presence and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah, and it's such a small part of the art that can be done in Clearwater, but it can also be super valuable. But yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, Mishka.
Liz, how about you?
I think definitely the murals are a good starting place. I think, getting the youth to make some decisions. So when you think about who is Clearwater, like maybe I'm thinking about the arts. What is it called? The Arts Alive. When you have everybody like do an art piece on a common theme, it has kind of potential for everybody to do an art piece on what is Clearwater and who is Clearwater, right? Some kind of a show or some kind of a showcase, and you could get anyone that wanted to participate to put in an art piece that shows to what is it to them. To me, I definitely think I love the post and being like, to me, Clearwater is, nest, timber frame, everything, because I'm kind of biased with the outdoor classroom. I get to spend time in there almost every day, and it's just so inspiring. The plexiglass and the metal and the and it's trees from our area that have been logged in our area. So I think trees and timber is Clearwater. Myself, and the lake and the water and the mountains. So for me, for the sculptures, I'm much more about the wildflowers, showcasing them. Like I feel like wildflowers are more like the lupins and the anemones and the main wildflowers up at the Trophy Meadows are what speak to me about Clearwater. Driving up the park road, when you see just like rows and rows of lupins, it's like, I don't know, it's amazing. And even just driving down on the flats, like there's so many lupins on that little corner there. To me, that's kind of a defining feature that we have. And with the vinyl wrapping and stuff, it makes me think of like Ken Matheson's like when he interviews people and takes their stories. I feel like he did a big project. He would have a lot of great content for. I'm sure the people in the Legion would have good content for vinyl wraps, but
That's a really
the stories of different people in the community.
That's
Interesting. Because like
Great
when
to get some of their old photos. Yeah, love that.
Yeah. I kind of read the mobile art interactable art space differently, I think.
Oh, good.
Like I didn't read it as like a spot like for people to set up shop. I kind of like, to me it was like an actual art installation that people interacted with.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so I guess I interpreted that differently than the way that you were interpreting it.
Oh, that's cool though.
It's always great to hear the better idea.
Yeah.
And because that sort of made me think like there would be an opportunity for people to showcase what Clearwater is to them, right? Everybody can put in their little like piece of art or their little thing to show what Clearwater is to them, and people can you can interact with it because maybe you could go there and you could create something on the spot, but I don't know how that would happen. But that's how I interpreted mobile interactable art space, to interact with it. I don't know.
I think like my vision for that one was like one of like, of course there's so many options, but like even the trail along like past the beach, and having like art through there. So like interactive, like you're walking through the forest, but you're like getting art that you might have like stumbled upon, or it was like planned kind of thing. But that's another way, I guess, to also think about that one.
I love that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. I try to do that a lot with the outdoor classroom and things at the school, is just set up learning opportunities for kids that
Yeah.
doesn't require any intervention by anyone else, right? And it's the same with art. It's kind of can be a private sort of viewing or private experience where you're just
Yeah. Well, I know Leanne, sometimes you put like have your little,
little
nature art.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Treasures.
Spontaneous nature mandalas and yeah.
Well, out of those, it's, I mean, something just like what we've just talked about, that seems something really organic that could actually be the seed of community involvement and community art, and the fact that that could come together on a weekend, right? And it could be the perfect in the winter, and it could be in the Dutch Lake Gym, whereas people could come and it's a touch and feel with art, work in partnership with the North Thompson Art Council, and create that whimsiness, and it can be placed out around the community, right? So that seems like maybe something small that could be pursued, if that's what I'm hearing.
Even Valley Pride doing their free painting, like being able to also work with them, if especially for like thinking mural ideas, like seeing maybe like prompting. I don't know. Are you part of that, Leanne?
No, we stopped doing that just because we didn't want
Blue.
to compete with your
Oh no.
with your drop-ins. No, it's fine. That's the whole point of having more businesses, right?
Fair.
So
I
we
didn't
just
know
kind of
that.
adjusted and pivoted. So we might, in the future, like you and I have talked, we might do some more collaborating together rather than having a bunch of things in different places.
Fair.
Then at least we can have people going
Oh,
to your business more.
I didn't know that. That's so sad.
Yeah.
Huh. But I know the gallery just did a.
Is your blue on?
They did a showing.
I haven't turned it off because it stresses me out too much. It's just staying on. If people hear my little murmurs, I'm sorry. Anyways,
They did a showing.
yeah.
Yeah, of some of the previous artwork.
Oh, but it's not ongoing. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should touch base with that later.
Yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
And I'm also hearing strong enthusiasm for looking at a mural. And then I'm also hearing, and the mural, I'm hearing is both skateboard and the beach house mural. I don't know if two are feasible, if just start with one. And then considering starting with the vinyl wrapping, right? And I'm not sure, but I don't see them as that's overly arduous. The mural is a big one, right? Oh, she's just left. So the purpose, and maybe she'll come back, in that link was to show how the city of Victoria, they started their community mural, and it showed all the steps about how they had the community that came together for an open house to sort of get ideas. And so it became a real community buy-in. There was youth who were involved in it. It was guided by local artists. So there was lots of hands touching the project. So it wasn't just one person. And then they brought people in to all do the different painting and aspects. So it became, I'm going to cry. This is us. This is what we did together. And this is what it means. That's not the cold medicine. That's just me.
Just ask Shelley, because it seems to me like the murals and the wrapping could be just that. I don't see it if it's a community thing other than materials. Does it have to be a big expensive?
I think it depends on how you're doing the murals. Like
Yeah.
if you have a single artist, like making sure they're appropriately compensated versus like bringing like high school kids or what I mean, that kind of thing. I think that's might be one of the kind of thoughts that I have.
Again, in that link, and I sent it to Jenna in case she could flash it up on the screen. It did show the budget of, and it broke down what the cost of that community mural was, which I thought was really helpful. And I think one of them, it was $6,000. So it wasn't a lot of money, and it had great community connection and meaning.
It could also be something like grant funding, looking into, especially since there's a North Thompson Art Council person
no money.
who might, but
Well,
who might help.
Well, there are, and that's the great thing about partnerships. And then, lastly, when I hear is the flower and the bee sculptures and building on your theme, I almost wonder if that's the second phase, because we are going through the OCP, and I think that there's some talk about some revitalization, and with that OCP plan, am I translating it correctly?
The revitalization concept has been talked about quite a bit. As far as what that program looks like, we don't know at this point. But
Yeah, and there was sort of, murmurings and different things about there are grants for, what's it, renewable downtown spaces and all of that. And so you can get grants to reimagine it. And it would be really nice if we could move forward with that with councils and the OCP, is to incorporate that sculpture vision into that plan. Would that fit?
it would fit. Unfortunately, some types of grants are quite challenging to get.
100%.
We actually did try to do some revitalization grant just recently and received advice from the grantors that this pretty low priority project, so you may want to reconsider the revitalization.
Well, and that's why I'm
project.
thinking 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think today's economic reality is allowing,
Yeah.
we're not going to see that necessarily in municipal and
But if you have
or
a
federal.
target of what you're trying to achieve and you've kind of defined it, then you can wait till there's something that looks like it's going to fit and you're ready to go then. Right?
Well, what could be really nice is being able to have that visualization of revitalization, but art be a part of the conversation. So rather think about doing something next year, it's something that we plan for and that we create an area. So it's that longer term vision for the community.
Can I ask about that? Because I'm thinking, we keep talking about themes, but and I was really resonated with what was said about outdoor, like was an outdoor community, trees, flowers, bees, etc. But could this committee help define who and what is Clearwater? As part of this, it becomes part of this revitalization, official community plan, and then when we want to get money, we actually have this vision to share that I think could actually help us get money easier, right?
And that's exactly the point of having the committee.
Perfect.
It is to take all of those great ideas, send them through to council. It's got the support and that time and energy that has been put in it by the committee, and it makes the recommendations to council and coordinate those dreams. Jenna, I sent you a link. I don't know if you can turn on that TV to just.
Can I share a thought before I forget?
Yeah, well, Jenna's doing.
I think the other reality too with art, and especially like public art and that kind of stuff, is that it's not like a short term thing either. Like the
That's right.
reality, especially people creating and that kind of stuff, like I think none of us here expect everything be painted by next year, because the reality is even as Clearwater grows and as things shift and all of that, like things will change too. And so I think, yeah, I don't even think like 2 years. Not that I'm like being negative or pessimistic, but I anticipate things will take a lot longer than 2 years. But I think it's also like that long-term commitment. Like I think like Liz being part of like all of the art stuff here, like we're all pretty, well, everyone else too, but we're all pretty committed to art in Clearwater. And so I think, yeah, like thinking bigger picture, where are some places, and I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there that I want to make sure that like
Well,
we're all committed to the long term.
yeah, and I think what I'm hearing out of some of these ideas is what could be a short term bloom, and then what about the perennial garden?
Can I tag on? What was your name again?
Michelle.
Just broadening my vision of like, wildflower kind of sculptures. I kind of liked what you said of like something that makes people travel around the town, right? But if you designate like, okay, down on Flats is lupus theme or whatever, down at the beach it might be the lily pads. I don't know, like somewhere. It doesn't have to be a sculpture, right? So if like down on the Flats was a lupin theme, then maybe there's a lupin mural. Or if the beach was, maybe there's something to do with that at the beach, or like it could just be spot the whatever the theme is, or something
Mhm.
in the cement. It doesn't necessarily need to be the same thing in every spot, just some kind of a
Realistically, like bouncing off your idea there, realistically, you could even put out an interactive map that like the info center has, the district has on their website, like that it's like come to Clearwater, interact with our art, follow the
find
map.
the
Yeah.
building, find the this,
Yeah.
find the.
So there's so much you can do with that too,
And
which
if
I
you
think would
wanted
be
to
really
put bees
special.
in it, this is just like this. Obviously, I'm an elementary school teacher. I just had this like idea of like somewhere in every flower could be a bee. It could be like spot the bee, like of some form, or like where is it hiding?
Either dominant or just
It could
this
be really
little-
obvious, or it could just be really subtle. But it could be.
I don't know why it was like coming to me, but thinking about like the Legion and Remembrance Day and like poppies are red, and then I was thinking like the beach like blue water, like it could almost like could the cohesiveness be like pops of color through Clearwater? I'm not like just putting it out there, sit on it, but and then the lupins are purple, and then like bees, and I kept going, and
So when
I
I,
don't
did
know.
the Children's Art Festival, I had that same idea. Like
Yeah.
I actually did a watercolor. It's my daughter's handprint, and I did it all like purples, blues, and greens because I was thinking about like the water and the like just the earthy colors of Clearwater, like the
Mhm.
water and the mountains.
And there's so much
yeah.
in Clearwater. I don't know. That could be. I don't know. It doesn't. Maybe it doesn't have to be an over-encompassing theme of like who is Clearwater. Maybe it is just like pops of color. Like I don't know. I'm jumping all over the place, aren't I?
It's good. That's brainstorming, right? We're allowed to brainstorm on camera.
Yeah.
Feedback from when we
Is it
talked
on?
about- oh,
Just leave it on.
Yeah, I have this habit of going, good idea.
That's why I apologize in advance.
The NTAC meeting, Beth and I were there, we brought up first meeting, and people's comment was it's kind of art also to beautify, as you're driving up, like all those, the edges of the highway coming up with color and bringing wildflowers actually in and bringing them up on the, so, yeah. So I thought I'd just pass that on.
Mhm.
Yeah, kind of like what Leanne had said about the banners. Maybe that section of town is that flower
Yeah.
or something, right?
Yes.
It's,
Change seasonally too.
Oh, do you want me to send it to another one? Or actually, why don't I just give you the website? I know. Oh, hang on. You could do it's taking a bit of time here. I think it's Victoria Public Art or something.
Yeah.
Do you have it there, Leanne?
Yeah. It's victoria.ca/media/mural-toolkit PDF.
The thing about the beach house is there are potentially 4 walls,
Yes.
right?
And the
murals
inside.
don't have to be the same on all 4. Yeah, and the inside. So potentially you could have 4 different themes if you wanted or one.
Mhm.
4 Seasons.
Well, I was thinking underwater. You mentioned that last time, and I'm like, oh, that's so cool. And then you mentioned frogs and lily, and then I was like, frogs and lily pads, and I was like, there's so many things you could do.
The turtles and the,
Yeah.
yeah.
It could
I
almost
like the
be.
4 seasons. That's good.
I always look at it when I'm swimming, like like in the lake, and I look at it, and I kind of do imagine this like half underwater turtle. I've taken pictures of different murals. One of the ones that I probably have on my phone somewhere was kind of like underwater. It was a turtle actually. It was like a red, but it was all sectioned off with the black borders. Like really kind of like abstract turtle. That would look good.
So cool.
So up on the screen, we've got the mural toolkit. And I thought maybe we would just take a quick run through this to see if any of this resonates with maybe how we would want to proceed. So, mural toolkit, page 1. Next. Well, words. Oh, it's very tiny. Can you see what it's saying? Do you want to give us a synopsis of what it's saying, or no? Or hang on. Anybody want to, Beth? Can you?
I'm looking at my phone.
Oh,
'cause
okay.
I was gonna
Oh,
read
there
it.
we are.
You can read it better now.
So this just gives you an idea of a couple of the projects were there, so that what they took on within their communities. You can read there. They resided in Capital Region. Criminal record check. The youth met their mentoring artist and group members before the program begins at a social mixer. The artist's time commitment was 2 to 24 hours per week. Specified mural project from fall to spring. Okay, keep going.
I like the idea of a mentoring artist.
Then this gives you sort of some different things about some questions, and this goes back to Beth, what you led us off with who are we? So these are sort of those questions: why create a mural? What problem you're trying to solve? Are the reasons and objectives for creating a mural clear? So I thought that these were really good guiding questions, and I thought that it would provide some structure there, the community impact, the experience there, and then the budget and resources. So again, what I liked about this is that it's so easy to have ideas. Trust me, I know. It's another thing to, okay, I saw those eyes. It's another, no, yes. It's another thing to ground them, and it's another thing to fund them. And so this was what I thought, is if we could land on something and maybe see if any of these actions that Victoria had done, does that resonate with us, and could that be a part of a recommendation to council? Is here's how we want to proceed. These are kind of the steps. Leanne, you're sort of the staff liaison on this one. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a great idea, and I think that actually ties back to the public art policy. I don't know if everybody when you applied, did you get a chance to read through the public art policy by chance? Because maybe that's something too that we could even just send home for everybody to review between our next meeting, because it does talk a lot in there about how do we bring in different art ideas. Say if somebody from the community brings something to the committee about what they want to do for art in the community, how do we deal with that? There are some guidelines in there too that we created. I mean, obviously that was created before the committee, so it would be, it's valuable input also to see what the committee thinks of that policy as well. But I think that all kind of ties together. Just looking from reading through what Victoria's done here, I think they have a really, like, the way that they lay it out is so digestible, and it's not just in like policy form. It's almost like we could take our policy and create a better
Framework.
booklet,
Yeah.
and framework.
Yeah.
That's just also more understandable for the general public to see, and for us.
Yeah, so as we continue to sort of scroll through, so this one's got some final checks. So if we can keep going, Jenna, thank you so much. Then the step-by-step guide, which I love, community-led model, business-led model, so that there was two. So how you include both, which I thought was really interesting as well. And this is all on the concept of bringing the community together, which is what I really heard the last time, is that this was something to be a community focus. So as we go to the community model, and I really like this the way they started is outline your motivations. So rather than defining it, it was what's your motivation, and then attract people through the motivation of the why. And then they gave some of their examples. So we've talked about a lot of these: make the space more vibrant, give a space an identity. And then we talked about placemaking last time, bringing for the community together, and then promoting the inclusion equity within a community.
And yours about
Are you blue?
your point about connecting the different parts of the town.
So then look, we've already done step 2, so check. And then keep going. So we don't, I think if we were, no, we're good. And then I think we've got through that. And then this gets into sort of identifying the artist, talking to the neighborhood. Keep going. And then this is where it got really interesting with the workshops. So hosting the design workshop and have the community there. So again, it allows that community voice to come in. Now, I'm not saying that this has to be followed. I thought it was an easy thing that we could at least start as a template and to hear your ideas on. And it really speaks to, you make the presentation and then that goes through this committee and then to council. And then unfold. And then I think as we scroll down, I think there's even that budget template there.
Celebration. I love they have celebration.
Yeah, so this was one of their case studies, which I thought was kind of interesting. I mean, a beautiful mural. This talks about their youth engagement there. And then what I liked about it is to go down a little bit more is they talked about the challenges. Oh, super hard to get to. This was really tough. Parking spaces, etc. So, yeah, and I really liked all the different players in that one. And next one. Business led, that may be as maybe not the business model, but certainly nonprofit or community, which would be the Legion. So making sure that their voice was included if to move ahead with the vinyl wrapping. And keep going. I think we can get right to the next almost chapter, I'll call it.
We don't really have like big public walls and things except for the skate park and the people.
Yeah, those are
Stairwell,
It's so beautiful.
a big ugly cement stairwell, like is a pretty fun place to paint it.
Yeah.
Or the side of a building.
well, even the stairs here, going down to the field here.
That's true.
Right? So this is the fundraising budget, which I thought was great. And this was something that I wondered about as well, because this allowed people to come to the community. What we're suggesting is maybe being the catalyst, and then that might empower. So maybe whatever is done here at the Community Arts, maybe then it is picked up and spearheaded by the North Thompson Arts Council. So how do we embolden community groups? I mean, I think that the example of the district having the painting workshops and then you have a business and how that then flowed. So how do you flow to allow opportunity to other people to pick up the torch? So this just talks about some different models there. And then I think the next one is actually their budget, which I loved because I saw $6,200 and I was sold. Sample budget.
There we go. Wow, for that big blue and orange wall. Amazing.
Well, that was for that launch that they were doing there. But it did break it down. I liked how it names artist fee as number one, which I think is really important, right? There. Anyway, so that's kind of a framework, and I just wanted to. We've obviously briefly reviewed that. I don't know if that speaks to anybody or that's not quite it.
Kind of like organizing things in my mind. So like I like to have like deadlines and timelines, and then I like to kind of, so in my mind I'm thinking like the skateboard park would work well if we had, I like that, like a mentor artist that had a vision that was willing to like, here's kind of my style, here's kind of a vision, but I was willing to incorporate ideas of the youth and ideas of the people that use the skate park and help facilitate that. Is kind of an idea, and I think spring is a good time for that because obviously can't, right? And then in my mind, I'm thinking for the beach house, would it be like kind of similar to like when we applied to be on this council? Would it be like, give us your proposal for whatever this, whether it's per wall and then we can discuss it as a council? Like, which, is that how it works?
Yeah,
or-
I think that there's lots, and I think it would go to council for sure to think about. I think that those are all things I have to wonder about, in particular, the beach house, because it is so much more public facing. It's got tourism. It's got lots of different sections of the community. Is that a community space to say who we are, or something to open it up a bit wider rather than being specific,
But
or
if
not?
you said this is the theme that we're going on,
Mhm.
give us your idea.
Mhm.
You know, you might get whatever. I mean,
But then
maybe
maybe
you get
it's-
Doris Lanner, or maybe you get even Flo that painted the side of her, the mystic.
Maybe,
Like maybe you get some.
maybe that's where then you do like the weekend workshop where people come and like bring their suggestions and people can even like vote on them. So you're getting that community voice as a way to, I don't know.
Maybe bubble up other ideas. Well,
Yeah.
so just noting the time, and we have to have some action items here. Is it something to consider to presenting to council that we have an artist Saturday or something, and that's where the organic art that we talked about. So it's a free day of art and that, and at the same time, it's a community brainstorming.
Are we there yet?
I don't know. I'm asking. I just gotta.
I don't know if we're there yet.
But maybe I'll jump in and ask Leanne and Byron what they have heard and what they might recommend for next steps given these projects.
Well, I think it just to really kind of go back to basics and to the beginning, I think like from this list, it sounds like everyone's in favor with starting with a mural. So we've achieved that. So we know that we want to start with a mural. Would it be too much to think that we could achieve both murals next year?
I don't think so.
You think so, but okay.
I think
Sorry,
it's
you should-
doable.
Yeah, I think so too.
Because you could do spring skateboard park and
Yeah.
summer.
Totally.
beach
That'll get
house.
people going and it'll.
Yeah. So
fall,
I
vinyl
think
wraps.
knowing that we want to do both of them, and then we've now established that I agree, the Dutch Lake house, that feels more community oriented, and we have tourism and that's like a gathering place, whereas the skate park is that kind of first view when you're traveling southbound.
It's gonna be more of a youth.
Yeah. So I would
Loggers.
agree that like the skate park then feels more like we said, the guided. So the mentor, like a good opportunity to do a mentorship mural,
Yeah.
kind of like what they've outlined it in here, that first one where they worked. And then the Dutch Lake one being that community led mural. So, I mean, really next steps, because we've decided on the mural. I'm not quite sure either what that looks like taking to council necessarily. I mean, Byron, I don't know about what your thoughts are on this, but maybe this is us also thinking as a group what our next steps would be. Like, who are some potential people that we would want to get involved to help paint? Like, do we already know some of these people? If we're wanting to take this to the community for community input about what to paint, my feeling is that it might also push us back as well. Like we might run into like just finding time to do that. Like we might not be able to do a mural in the springtime. Like it might be more of a summertime mural, which might also give more time for people to be involved to do it. Maybe when school's out. Do an unveiling.
Going back to
but-
opportunities and challenges, I see parking being the challenge for the summer painting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Like,
Busy down
Beach
there.
house for sure.
at the beach house.
The skate park has
Yeah.
lots of parking.
well, and then it does, and
Prioritize
yeah,
Maybe
the
beach, house spring,
first.
skate park
and then-
summer, because then school's out, so there's less parking.
Yeah.
except if you want student involvement, is that something?
You do during school year.
Or
During school year.
Yeah. Well, I thought that I had for the skate park is to I don't know who we do a call out to the high school and see like if any kids have a suggestion on what that could look like.
That could be like, I liked that social gathering part of Victoria. Like I would think once you pick a mentor artist, then you could have a social gathering.
Mm-hmm.
at the high school.
Mm-hmm.
And you could even put up big pieces of paper
Mhm.
and get
Mm.
kids to,
Yeah.
do their tag
So then
or
does
whatever they have.
Concept
Does
ideas.
Hannah go back to, well, I don't know, giving you jobs, but do you go back to the art council and say, like, they were thinking about this mural, anyone want to help out?
Well,
We-
there's that, and I was going to ask, is there an art program at the high school?
There's-
Are there art teachers that could?
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
Liz, when we talk at NTAC about, there's a children arts show right now at the gallery,
Mhm.
and working very closely with the school is fantastic, really. And all the teachers, they come up with the theme and they work with the kids, and
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to work on the inside as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And bring in, like, put out a call
Mm-hmm.
for an artist who might want to mentor, and
Yeah, they
Mhm.
might do it as an assignment slash
Exactly.
project or,
Yeah.
what a great opportunity if you were.
yeah.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah. There we go.
Excellent.
Byron?
So when you taking it to council, there's probably a few other considerations that council would be asking about. One of them would be kind of the whole life cycle question. What happens to a mural once it's timed out? They don't, you can put protective coatings on it, you can do what you can, but at some point in time they time out. So does it get refreshed? Do you build that into kind of your policy base that as it times out, we're going to keep refreshing it? One of the in Quesnel, when we actually had quite a few murals what were in the timed out stage. Some of them were privately owned, and the owners would come to us and say, hey, you guys can take over this mural if you want, and we'd be like, yeah, no thank you. But one of the ways we got around it when we started doing new murals, we actually, instead of painting them directly on the walls, we would paint them on a board that we installed on the walls. And the benefit of that is you could do that work remotely. So you could do it. You could have a arts kind of a meeting or a group get together, but it wouldn't have to be down at the beach where there's traffic going by and it's dusty conditions or whatnot. And the other advantage to it is when it needed refurbishment, you could pull it off the wall and bring it in and refurbish it, right? Now, for some people, it's not really a pure mural if it's not painted directly to the wall. So I guess that's a consideration, but that worked pretty well. In fact, we liked it so much that that became our new standard that when we did murals, when the city did them, we wanted to have them, on something removable. Private individuals and businesses could still do lots. What we found in Quesnel actually was the businesses put more effort and more creativity into their murals typically than the city did. We would hire an artist, we would say, here's the vision, do something great. And they would do something great. But the businesses tended to go, because Quesnel is quite a historic town, tended to go on the historic side, but representing their business. So the bakery did a historic shot of a bakery and it transformed the side of the bakery. The hardware store did a massive mural, which was, here's what the hardware store looked like back in 1910 or something. And it showed all the old junk in it, right? So it was really cool, but you can't, I don't think you want to downgrade the potential for businesses to engage as well, because if you start to get a little bit of impetus with it, the businesses get quite competitive and really it's their chance to showcase and advertise without actually advertising. It's kind of a neat thing. Just a
What's
few thoughts.
interesting about that idea about how you're presenting it is because a lot of our businesses have got, and it's not concrete, like we've got Fleet West, but a number of them have got vinyl siding, and so it's but so that would be a way that it could be straight and right, like it's just a different way that you see a surface. So I think you had a couple of other things you were going to share for council.
I think from the life cycle perspective, I think council may want to develop some type of a policy around, okay, when this thing times out.
Leanne, is it in
Who
the I
replaces
think
that?
we put it in the policy.
It's in the policy. So any art project has to come with a plan, and in that plan, it has to go over, maintenance, potential. I might say this word wrong. Deaccessioning, for taking it down, removing it.
Commissioning.
Decommissioning. Yeah, same thing. Yeah. So that's in, yeah. So we have 3 appendixes in the public art policy. So I think it'd be a really good idea too for all of us to take a browse through, and maybe I'll play around with it too and see if I could create a document similar to what Vic does, because I do like how that's laid out.
It
a
is a
little
really
bit
good step
different.
by step. And then what do you think the next steps are? Do you think we're ready to present anything to council? You've mentioned at the beginning that it is budget. So how do we find, what would be your suggestions on presenting budget?
I think fundamentally you've asked some really great questions here, right? That I've heard anyways. So starting with who are we? How do we engage the community? How do you unify the various areas? How do we incorporate nature into this? And then what's the mechanics of it? Do you do weekend workshop? I think you could even go through some of that as kind of here's the basis that we want to build this policy on. We've come to the conclusion we want to do a mural, but here's kind of the questions we've been asking along the way. That way, because those are the questions I believe council would have. It gets back down to, is this just a one-off piece, or is this part of a larger framework, right?
Well, what's really nice is, to your point about how you connect the community, if you think about it, the Flats has got Fleet West. Mystic Dreams has done theirs, and then the mural by the liquor store there. So if you think about it, there's actually,
Sportsplex.
and the
Yeah.
Sportsplex, but the beach house is kind of, lacking. Like, that's the connector piece. So it does tie into to an existing landscape. So it's not too far out, and it's just.
Recreation. They all have recreation or like work. Fleet West outside.
So getting back, so would you suggest that the next meeting of this committee be a planning meeting about how that would come to fruition? Like, maybe look through what Victoria did and bring back some ideas, and then make that presentation to council? I think also from the North Thompson Arts Council, it would be really interesting to get an idea of costs.
Costs for implementing or hiring artists?
For hiring, for materials, I think the other thing to really think about is Byron's idea of how you have it on a different surface, so it can be refreshed, or if it's permanent, and think about that and which one resonates.
Can I just say too that when we took it to the NTAC to have that discussion, they also talked about the opportunity to use more durable materials so that the murals last longer nowadays. You can do that. They're probably more costly, but it's a factor to consider.
They say that in that.
Do they?
They say use the
Okay.
expensive stuff and make sure you pressure wash and
There we go.
uh, to do all that. So the pressure washing and the top coating. They said a good top coat's also very important.
Exactly.
You can use a graffiti-proof top coat.
And that was the other aspect of it, graffiti proof. You
Yeah.
just wash the graffiti off. Yeah. Question about that, because I think there's potential now. I don't want to be preemptive to go back to the Arts Council and just ask about the interest in partnering on these kind of projects and what they think as a group is an opportunity for us to help make that happen. So if you guys are okay with that, I'd be happy to put that back to them. Yeah.
Okay, Leanne, do you have any thoughts or any suggestions? What's been overlooked that maybe we need to do?
I do think that this is, and maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself, but I do think that this is doable for next year, for sure. I guess where I'm at too is I just want to make sure that we're following all the proper steps too with the district and council. But I can see, like, we would have to go to council to let them know or to get their input on us doing a mural on district property. That's like the main thing. Would you say that's correct? Is that one of the main? Because if we can fundraise or get grants for other materials, and then of course we do have our allocated funding yearly for the Public Art Advisory Committee. What exactly are we going to council for? Like, if we're going over that budget, I'm assuming, and to ask permission to go to create something on district property. Am I missing something else?
No, I think that's it. I think you're asking for some budget approval. And I think
If we're going over our budget.
if you're going over the budget, so you're asking for budget approval and you're asking for approval to use the facility, right?
Okay.
Leanne, I don't know what the budget is.
Yeah.
I haven't come across that anyway.
We,
So last year for last fiscal year was 5,000,
yeah.
and it
we-
hasn't been set for this year yet.
Okay.
I thought it was annually.
Need more.
That's my understanding as well. It's an
Yeah, it
annual
was annually.
$5,000.
I think there was a
5,000.
council member that was wanting more.
Oh.
So we need to be able to justify that.
Well, I think it's not even to justify. I don't know what I don't know, and I don't know how much it costs.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you can have all the enthusiasm in the world, and if the project comes in at $30,000, well, that puts another reality to it. And so do you take the money that the district's got, and do you find some other sources of different grants, and do you find some different things, right?
Yeah.
But we don't know what we don't know because we don't have a budget. And I think that's the first one. I mean, we didn't use the money from last year, so it does go into our surplus or reserves. Where does that go?
No, I think the intent was that it would sit in its own little special pocket, and then if we
Oh,
add
that's-
money from the 2026 budget, that would then go into that.
So
bucket
essentially,
as
we've
well.
got $5,000 seed money,
Yeah,
and then
for
whatever gets
2020.
added for 2026.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. So you're, of course, subject to budget. All budget discussions are subject to further approval and changes.
Yes, of course, the sidelines.
You know, try to roll
Regardless,
that
we have a
back.
pocket that's got $5,000 now, so that is something to consider. So let's close this out with some next steps.
I think what you said before too, if we plan for our next meeting to be more planning, like we've already determined what we want to do, what the group wants to do as our first project in Clearwater. We can all from now until our next meeting, we can all brainstorm different aspects around cost. What does this look like? Looking at this sample budget, talking to different artists, because we all know many different artists. And then when we come back to meet, really sitting down and hashing out a plan and then taking that plan to council right after.
And I think what's also equally important is how do we get public voice?
Well, maybe having that be part of the plan.
I think to me, it's a really core part is because I think people are passionate about it, and I think they want to be heard. And I don't think they want to be told. I think they want it. I think they want to see themselves in it and at least have an opportunity. Because the other side of art is sometimes art is meant to spark conversation, but at least let's make it open conversation before, brush goes to surface or anything. That would be, one of my experiences.
I'm wondering, because it does have the four sides, if we just propose for the one side to start with, and then it gives us a chance to, get our feet wet. And because there is a bit of a tight timeline in terms of making the budget, but also it gives the community a chance to have some feedback, and then we respond and do another wall, and it can grow a little bit that way too.
And it's easier to digest.
Yeah, I like it. Not overwhelming.
If we are trying to do the skate park as well, then it's
Yep.
a little bit more manageable maybe.
I think people will be really enthused about moving forward with the Youth Engage project. And I also, I always find it so interesting that the mural at the Sportsplex has been there for so long, and there's never even been a pencil mark on it. And I really do believe it's because it is a place that community gathers. It has a community importance, and because people see themselves in it. Like, there's lots of opportunity, but it's there. That is the part of art. So I think that's going to be a really valuable space. And then also to get in touch with the previous artist, which I think is going to happen because that is part of this step.
Can I ask, because we talked about going through the school and teachers, and I'm looking at you, Liz, because being a teacher, but is there an opportunity between now and our planning session to actually just talk to some teachers and feel out what they think about what we're talking about and opportunities to work with the students?
Yeah, I'd say more high school.
Yeah.
Liz, do you see any younger kids being involved? I mean, I've.
I do,
Mm-hmm.
but I do feel like we have I selfishly, like, we're so overworked.
Yeah, no,
to
I-
be completely honest,
Wow.
like, even just doing the art thing, like, because I'm, you know, it's important to me and I take my kids up there, but we're so inundated with stuff. I feel like I never get to teach. It's really hard. So I would lean more towards a community and the people that, you know, I wouldn't want to stack more on.
So not necessarily done through school hours, but through, like, I see it more as like an after school thing.
Yeah.
I see it absolutely, but I've seen through the young artists through SD73 some of those kids, and
Super talented.
it's amazing. And
It's much easier to work with, you know, I don't get the luxury of that very often, but work with the kids that really want to be there, that are
Yes.
keen on that specific
Yeah.
thing, than to try to
Well,
mobilize everybody.
and no, and I think you have to have the interest, and that's why it needs to be extracurricular and not tied into school hours for all the reasons you cite. And it's to, often people say, well, there's, what is there for kids to do who maybe aren't into sports? And this is a great, right? And so this is a really good platform to say, the arts is a place for you.
Yeah, and I think talking to the high school art teacher, because they know who those artists be,
Yeah.
and they can talk it up in class, and
Yeah.
or
But
whatever
we're really
their
good,
avenue to do
like,
it.
with emails and flyers. Like, if you want to get emails, flyers, messages out to the school population, go through the school, 100%. Like,
exactly.
Sportsplex does it too, right?
Yeah.
With what the different activities are, what you have, you know, even little art camps or spring break camps. Put a flyer out and give it out to all the kids. That's the way to do it, right? But
Yeah. And then maybe just because I do think that it would be good to talk to teachers like yourself, because you know who those artistic kids are also, or you might have a good idea of, who could you let know of this opportunity to
yeah, I'd
to
say
do
we
this
create the
and-
opportunity first and get that figured out, and then for sure, put our feelers out and art classes and teachers and things.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is for the next meeting, we're going to make it a bit more of a planning. We're going to take a look at some of the Victoria stuff, ruminate on some of the ideas that we've heard here, see what else kind of bubbles up. But at the next meeting, we're going to come up with timelines. We're going to come up with some commitments like that, the public or the social engagement, so to speak. In the meantime, speak to artists who might want to consider being artist mentors. Just to populate that idea. Keep your eyes out for other grants if you happen to see them, because a lot of people are in their fiscals, and let's just be alert for something there. We have seed money, so essentially we've got matching dollars, which is always very helpful. And I think that if we can kind of hit the ground, and then we'll present to council. So council meeting in December is December 17th. Well, we should come back, but what I'm thinking is if we can have a plan that we could present to council for their December meeting, and then we can hit the ground running in January, because we've only got 3 months of that planning and that organizing, and then April, May, we've got to be ready, is what I'm hearing. So it's got to be concise, and that's why our next meeting, it's we're going to have all sorts of working matrices and diagrams. And
Do we want to choose a date right now for our next meeting?
We probably should.
Maybe one the end of November and one early December. Is that too much?
I think just one.
well, why don't we try one, see how efficient we can be? And again, if we do some pre-homework too about following some of these templates,
Are we sold on Wednesdays?
would you like to suggest another day?
December 3rd and 10th, I am unavailable at 5 o'clock. So,
Well, given the fact that we've done is Wednesday, November 26th, would that work?
Wednesday, November 26th works for me.
Is there a virtual option? I won't be here.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
There is?
Okay, good.
When are you back?
When I was not feeling well, I wanted to.
December
Yeah.
2nd.
We could do the 4th, the
Could do the
Thursday.
Oh, I am not here that day. That's
Does the 26th not work?
Hannah would need to come in virtually. You're back on the 4th.
That's okay, yeah.
The 26th? No. Christmas.
Good news, Hannah. And if you
How
could,
devoted are you?
if you come on the 26th virtually, then your microphone's going to be on all the time.
There we go. I like it.
Does that work for people? To,
6.
yeah.
At 5 o'clock?
Is 5 working for people?
Yeah.
Okay. And Leanne, how about your schedule?
Yep. No, I can work. I can make it work.
Okay.
And if we decide we do need another one, we have time.
We have time. We have time, and I think that's what we want. Is we want to be
I
efficient.
would be willing to do some numbers for primer paint and graffiti proof top coat. For
That would be
the square
great.
Footage of. Shall we choose the roadside wall of the beach house?
I think that's a really good idea.
Roadside wall's a bit weird.
Yeah.
Is it just because of all the
Yeah.
the returns and everything
Mhm.
it has? Yeah. That's true.
The lake.
Okay.
Okay.
Either the lake or the.
Maybe choose the longest one.
Yeah,
Maybe
the lake.
one.
Okay, choose the longest one. Then that's the most expensive one. Yeah.
I think that's best because on the roadside one, I probably want to put some more signage back up there.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on that.
We'll come down, but some of our signage will be more freestanding, so that's the wall we have to use when we consider it, but we need to oversign that area.
Maybe on that wall, once we get to the side murals, we could just bring little elements, like, you know, say like a little flower
Totally.
floating, like
Yeah.
little things, not like a whole wall.
Decorate around it. Yeah.
Something with a bit of flow and
Okay.
Okay. Does everybody? Are we on track?
Yep.
Okay. I think we're doing great. Okay. And then if anything for that social, because we'll also maybe need to look at some budget for that. The social, where we bring in, voice. But I think that maybe there's something we could tie it into or something like that, which would be great. Maybe that is a good way to partner with Yellowhead. The district had, you were talking, Leanne, maybe there's a way to have that kind of youth day or something, so we tie it into a district event that's already funded, and so we
Yep.
kind of leverage some opportunities. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but not as fun as a budget workshop. Just not as fun. In fact, we're going to do a budget presentation with art.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be great. So as always, I think you guys continue to bring such good ideas and such good perspective, and I wish that I could be in your head at night. It sounds a lot nicer with the pops of color. It sounds good. So anyway, thank you very much all, and we'll see you on
We
Wednesday
need
at the end
to
of the month.
motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Byron.
Motion.
Okay.